Artificial intelligence, it's everywhere. In what we read in the news, social media, even in the products we're using. We're constantly hearing about AI. But can it actually help you in your work? Can artificial intelligence actually allow users to make smarter, faster decisions? Can it find insights in the data that you wouldn't have spotted? Can you actually talk to your data? Perhaps more importantly, how do you do this? Stick around and let's find out. And spoiler alert, it's really easy. Hi, it's Steve from 7D Experts, back with another ThoughtSpot video today where we're going to be looking at AI within ThoughtSpot. And of course, AI is absolutely everywhere at the moment. It's the buzzword that's been going around for a good while now, and certainly ThoughtSpot has a lot of AI capabilities. So we're going to use this video to run you through majority of those from a user perspective. So how they actually work from an end user, how they can lean on AI to help them in their data discovery. So if we start just by looking at the ThoughtSpot homepage here, it talks a lot around being able to talk to your data and get accurate answers. There's a screenshot here of some of the various capabilities that you get with ThoughtSpot Spotter, which is their sort of AI analyst. Move on to AI agents here, AI augmented dashboards. We've got you being able to have conversational analytics, so unlock your data with the conversation. Automatically uncovering hidden opportunities. All of these things that it talks about on the homepage here are all AI enabled. So let's look at a demo live board that I've built in ThoughtSpot, and I'll walk you through some of the different features that there are and how you can really enhance your ThoughtSpot journey leaning on these AI capabilities. So just jumping into ThoughtSpot here, I've created a live board. It's just looking at the ThoughtSpot demo data, which is their retail data, and I've simply got some KPIs across the top and a couple of charts. So if we start with change analysis. So what is change analysis? And this is, as you'd expect and as the name suggests, all around looking at changes that have happened in a defined period of time. So this capability is available on these KPI charts. So you'll see straight away, if I just zoom in on the bottom here, analyze change is an option that you've got. You can also access it by selecting a data point or selecting a few data points. So if I go for this dot up here and then the dot down there, holding down Control to select more than one point, and then right click and you've got Run Change Analysis as an option there. So I can click on that now, and that will tell me what's gone on in the difference between those 2 points, what might have caused the quantity purchased to go down in that particular period. So if I just come out of the those data points by deselecting, what we're looking at here in this chart, if I zoom in again, is quantity purchased, and it's monthly, and that's probably the key bit to point out. So zooming out, I simply click on Analyze Change to run the change analysis for this KPI. So it brings out this new window, and you can simply see what's going on. So you're presented with an overview page, and that says, bearing in mind we're looking at this period, so August versus July at the moment, and we're 33% down. You can see that in the top right hand corner of this pop out. What's causing that? What are the major contributors to this 101,000 decrease? And that 101,000 is the difference between these 2 months. So if you break this out by state, then Massachusetts is the top contributor. These are the values that are causing that. And then it also says Michigan, Arizona, etc. also impacted this. There are other contributors. Similarly, if you look at from a product split, it's the Chamonix hoodie, which is the biggest contributor to it. City is Boston, and so on and so on. If I click on one of these, because we're only in the overview, we're just saying at a glance what's going on, what's causing these changes. You have the options to click on it on the left hand side here, and that gives you a bit more detail looking at all of the states, and it's highlighting those that have the significant change. So there are 6 values, including Massachusetts and Michigan, which had the significant changes, contributing to 47% of that total decrease, out of the total of 19 values here. And it's highlighting those that are significant change versus those that are just normal change. So that's change analysis. Let's now look at SpotIQ. So what you'll see is, on any of the charts where you've got the 3 dots, if I click that, you have the ability to SpotIQ analyze. So if I go to, for example, say SpotIQ on this sales by state, you're presented with this screen, and this gives you the ability to do different types of analysis. So in the demo, I'm just going to look at outliers, but you can also look at trend analysis and cross-correlation. So which metrics correlate with other metrics within your data set. So as I say, I'll stick with outlier and click next. Here you're given the ability to choose the columns that you're going to run the analysis on. I'm going to stick with the ones that it suggested because it's recommended these, but you can add additional ones in if you want to. Let's just hit analyze. It's going to run this. It generally takes about 10 seconds to produce the analysis. Once it's ready, there you go, it just says view analysis, and this will take you to a separate page. So it takes you away from the live board and into this separate SpotIQ analysis section. So if we just jump into the quick view at the top, it's saying we're looking at outlier analysis for sales by state. And then it gives you this little call out to say it found 20 insights in the 2,500 rows of data, and it took a second and a half. And it shows the original query that was taken place, so just a very basic sales by state. And then we look at this in detail. So for total sales by date, there are 7 insights that have significantly higher total sales than the rest. And what that means is, for this particular chart, we're looking at the state of Nevada. So again, I'm just going to zoom in here. State of Nevada, there were 12 dates that were significantly higher than the rest of the values within that period. And here you see those 12 dots there. If we were to count them, there'd be those 12 data points there. There are 7 insights, it says, and I can toggle across here. If you can just see that just on the right hand side there, there's a little menu to take me to the next page where it's just looking at the different states that are impacting this and where those are. So there are 7 of those going across. Scrolling down the page, we've got similar types of insights or analysis going on, but this is quantity purchased by date. So this one was sales, this one's quantity purchased. Similar analysis. So the states, there were only 2 states that had quantity purchased that were above the significant threshold, and you can see the legend here showing what the colors mean. It's a fairly comprehensive view. There's a lot to take in here. It's a lot more meaningful when you're looking at your own data and you've got a good understanding of what the data means, less so in this example where it's just demo data sets, but it's just highlighting how this SpotIQ works. And I'm not going to run through these in much more detail, but you can see there's different chart types that are presented. This one, for example, is calling out those states that have significantly higher quantity purchased and those that are significantly lower. And then we go on to look at lots of other different types of SpotIQ analysis that's available. So jumping back to the live board, that is SpotIQ. I'm just going to hit the back button, take me back to the live board. The next thing we're going to look at is a fairly new feature called AI highlights. So just jumping up here, the top right of your live board, you'll see this option, but you'll only see that if you've got KPI charts on your live board. So I do, we've got 4 of them across the top here, and that's what AI highlights leverages. So I give those a click. Much like SpotIQ analysis, it's going to generate those, and you get a little window at the bottom to say the highlights are ready, and you can click view, and it gives you this in the kind of a pop-out window. So we've got expected changes, and these effectively are the change analysis windows, but they're all grouped together nicely here. So when you first get to this live board, you might never have seen it before, or you look at this live board all the time, but it still takes time to understand what's causing the changes. Rather than clicking through change analysis one at a time, where you get lots of detail, this kind of gives you more of a high level view of what's going on. So for the quantity purchase KPI, which is this one you can just see up here in the background, the top left, we've got the figures that's going on in the particular view. So let me zoom in. So the current quantity purchase is 217,000, and that's month on month 33% down. And it gives you a little nice sentence here to say Massachusetts in state, so the state of Massachusetts had the highest decrease in contribution, and gives you the relevant numbers for that. And you see on the right hand side here, we've got a lot more information about what's going on, what's causing those changes, split by state, split by product, etc. So there's the different dimensions or attributes that you've got within your data set, and it's telling you what's going on with that. Very, very similar to the change analysis, but as I say, nicely grouped together. The profit KPI that we've got, which is hidden behind this window at the moment, again, exactly the same breakdown. And these are all within the expected changes section. You'll also see if any are particularly low, it will group them into unexpected changes. So that's those that are above the defined threshold that ThoughtSpot has determined. And then we've got not categorized down here. And again, that just gives you the information of what's going on. So it really is useful, this AI highlights, for firing up a live board instead of scrolling through like the olden days of looking for patterns in the data, perhaps looking for something new. If you're looking at a couple of years worth of data or really granular data, you don't always know what's gone on and what's changed and what's causing the numbers to move. AI highlights is a nice quick way of getting to that. So the final thing I was going to demonstrate in terms of nice AI capability is probably the icing on the cake, if you will, for ThoughtSpot, and that's Spotter, which you've probably heard of, but that's ThoughtSpot's AI agent. And what this is very much a conversational approach to your data. You can ask the questions like you're probably used to with something like Gemini or ChatGPT, having a conversation with an AI agent, but Spotter is focused on your data. So you can access Spotter either from the ThoughtSpot homepage or from within a chart itself. So if I choose one of these charts, for example, we haven't looked at top selling products yet. Let's click on Spotter. It will open up the Spotter window and we can ask a question. So it says, welcome back, what would you like to know about this answer? So let's say, which states sold the most? So I mean, I'm making this up as I go along here, but we can ask a question. This will retain the context. So it's going to keep these tokens, sales, products, top 15. And you'll see when if I scroll down just to wait for this answer to load, it firstly translates what I'm asking into a sentence, so show which states sold the most by sales. And then it gives you a more comprehensive paragraph on how it's interpreted what you've asked. And this is really important because if it's not right, then of course it's not going to give you the answer you want. So here it's saying, got it, you want to see the total sales for each state, retaining the previous context, which focused on the top 15 products by sales. And then we look at the output here, and we've got this split by state here. So there were only 2 states that were causing this top 15 sales of products, and it split those out. And of course, you can just keep going with this. Keep asking questions on your data. What's new in Spotter recently? There's a couple of new features which I would say are game changers in terms of interacting with your data. The first one is the ability to describe the data, describe your data set. So let's say describe this data set. And this gives you an overview of what that data set is about, and then some extra information. So it gives you a purpose. So this data set captures retail sales transactions for products across various stores, etc., etc. Then it goes on to talk about key use cases. So effectively, if you're using this data set, you could do sales performance analysis, you could do product popularity, geographic insights, and so on and so on. And then it tells you individual types of analysis that you could do. And if I just zoom out again, you'll see underneath it saying if you were doing sales performance analysis, here's some relevant columns that you could use for that. And a little bit further down, this is the bit that's really interesting, example questions that you can ask. So which products generated the highest sales last month? So we can go along and ask any of these questions now. So let's just say, please do 1. And so number 1 is the overall sales trends, top selling products and top performing stores, because that's referenced up here in sales performance analysis. It's recognized that number 1 is the first one that it listed with a bullet point of number 1, and that's what it's going off to do. Again, it gives you a quick sentence around what's going on and then a comprehensive paragraph around what it's doing. And then it gives you the first bit of information. Then it tells you what it's showing. You now have insights into the overall sales trends over time. So now another piece of analysis we can do, which is really powerful, and something that if you were to ask an analyst, like a human analyst to do, would take perhaps many hours or days or even weeks to perform, is asking the why question. Why are sales so high? Why did sales drop in that particular region? So let's say, why are sales higher in summer? Let's see what we get for this. Sales tend to be higher in summer for retail due to several common factors. So this is now leveraging general knowledge AI data as opposed to your business data. So it's saying product demand for shirts, shorts and lightweight jackets typically see higher demand in summer. Of course, this is really straightforward questions that I'm asking, but hugely illustrates the power that some Spotter has in terms of being able to show you the data but tell you the reasons why things are happening. It's hugely powerful. And what it does mean, as I kind of briefly touched on earlier, you don't need an analyst necessarily to be doing all this investigation. The CEO themselves could be sat in a meeting, or anyone could be sat in a meeting, instead of making a bullet point list of questions they need to go away and find the answers to, questions can be asked directly in Spotter live, get the answers almost immediately, and then that can perhaps steer the conversation in a direction that would have perhaps needed to wait until the following week's meeting to revisit those questions. So I think it is a game changer in terms of how you can interact with your data and the pace at which you can get the insights out of your data. It's really impressive technology. So that's it. that's the AI capabilities within ThoughtSpot. We do have standalone videos on some of these, such as Spotter, how to use it, how to coach it, and how to get the best out of the tool. So go and check out those videos because they go into a lot more detail around it. I hope you found that useful. Lots of capabilities to really take advantage of and leverage to make your life easier when you're analyzing your data. If you like the video, give it a like, give it a comment, let us know what you think. Let us know if there's any particular elements that you think you'd like to see some videos on, and we can look to produce those for you. And any questions, do get in touch with one of us at 7D Experts. See you in the next one.